Hi, I'm Nick Haraz from Creative 111 here with Boris Effects to show you what's new in Sapphire 2019 in both After Effects and Premiere Pro. I'm here inside of After Effects to start our journey where we're going to take a look at one of my favorite new effects offered in Sapphire 2019, and that is S-Pixel Sort. S-Pixel Sort is an effect that has been inspired by the digital glitch art movement. Pixel Sort will arrange pixels by isolating certain values and placing them in a certain configuration. We can find this by going to our effects and presets in After Effects and just doing a search for S-Pixel Sort, and just notice that this is going to be in the Sapphire stylized category. And once I drag this onto the clip in my timeline, we'll see that these pixels are being displayed linearly, which makes sense with the current effect that is selected. You also have the option to have it be displayed radially or in a circular fashion. For now, let's stick with linear and simply change the sort angle to a negative rotation value. Now, these are all based on a threshold amount. So if I hold down the Command key and sort of scrub this value slowly, notice that as I lower the threshold, these pixels get a lot longer in size versus if I make that value bigger. We also have the option of changing the sort direction to sort above or below the threshold that we've established, as well as combine this with a different types of sort types based on various mathematical formulas, such as saturation, which is going to apply a much different look that you see here. I'm going to press Command Z to undo that. And here inside my composition, I'm actually going to just turn off this clip to display a clip that I have underneath that gives a very stylistic pixel sort look combining multiple Sapphire effects. So if I make my way starting at the top, we've got pixel sort, and here it is effects is set to linear. We see that there is a sort angle that's been changed to 42 and a threshold amount that has a very simple wiggle expression to change the value throughout time. I combined this pixel sort with a Sapphire glow to basically bloom out my highlights, added some Sapphire vignetting, as well as combined a cartoon look to give the stylistic look that you see here. Looking at this through another clip's lens, I will go here into another example here where I used Sapphire's pixel sort in combination with the time warp RGB displacement, and by offsetting my clips here in time was able to get this sort of holographic look that you see in front of you. Last but not least, under the pixel sort example here, I combined basically a linear pixel sort where the sort direction was sorted above a threshold, duplicated the clip where I combined it below the threshold. Using a blend mode and transparency was able to get this stylistic look. And then using a Sapphire grunge effect was able to give this entire image a little bit of texture. Another effect that should be noted here inside of pixel sort is the radial effect. So once again, from the Sapphire stylized category, I'll apply it to the clip that's just in front of me right now. Right away, I'm going to change the sort type from monochrome to saturation to get a much stronger effect. And under the effect itself, I'll change this to a circular look. By playing around with the inner radius as well as the thickness, you can highly change the look of the radial. But most important to us is to make sure that this radial look does not actually go around this mountain range. What I want to do is rely on Sapphire's built-in Mocha by going to Edit Mocha. Now, first off, when you enter inside Sapphire Mocha, just notice the much cleaner interface, and we're essentially in an essential workspace, which gets the majority of tracking tasks done without the amount of clutter that was there with the classic workspace. If you feel more comfortable working with that, you can always go to the classic workspace, but this entire Sapphire Mocha experience is going to be great in any high DPI screen. So let's just start here in the Essential Workspace, and I want to just draw your attention to two new tools. One of my favorites actually happens to be the ability to select shapes with a magnetic spline. If I select this, I just want to show you how easy it is for me to mask the selection of this rock. I have yet to add a point, and it's got the majority of this rock shape that I want to mask out. Now we can see here that on this layer itself, which I will now rename rock, that I was able to easily make that selection. All of your favorite track mocha options for your shapes are located down here, as well as tracking options. And again, if you need to go to the classic tab, you can easily switch between your essentials and your classic workspace, along with just being able to have a much bigger picture if when needed for your particular workflow. Head back to the Essentials workspace, and just to take another look at another tool available here and adding to the rock shapes that I need to mask out, I'll come here to this freehand draw tool and just start to click to show you that I can easily make a hand sketched drawing if required for my shape. And with the ability of a mouse click, I can switch between that and the magnetic tool that you saw here earlier. I'll select that again and then just speed up the selection here of these rock shapes. Now I can see the combined mocha shapes here on the rock. And one other set of tools I should mention is just your ability to add simple shapes as well in this environment. So not do I have just this shape, but also the ability to kind of just draw out a simple rectangle, or for one called it, draw out a simple circle for witness protection. Sapphire's Mocha makes it really easy for you to add masks to your effects inside of both After Effects and Premiere Pro. Seeing how this all comes together in After Effects, I'll just close down Sapphire and make sure to save my parameters. And we should see here that inside of After Effects, if we go into our Mocha values and just invert this, we can see that the pixel sort is now on the outside. Rest assured that you can easily go back into Mocha to edit it, but you do have some controls here inside of After Effects, such as the ability to, of course, blur Mocha. And this workflow for situations of masking is sped up quite a bit, not to mention with the planar tracking value of Mocha and its integration. Let's take a look at another effect here on our tour, and a big change here happens to do with Sapphire lens flares. So see this in all of its full glory, I'll do a search here under Effects and Presets to go S_lens, and notice that Sapphire lens flares is in the lighting category. I'll apply a lens to the clip there in my composition, and of course change the position of the light to match that with what's in the scene. Under my effect controls, I'll change here the pivot of the light. And the first biggest change actually happens to be with the combination of now your Sapphire presets as well as your flare designer in one place. So if I go here into edit the lens, let me draw your attention over to the left-hand side of the interface, where now we have a series of all of our favorite Sapphire lens presets in one place. You've got a tab here for specifically the new lens flares that are featured, and there are quite a few beautiful lens flare presets that you can set up and preview right here directly in this window. And if you're looking for all of your favorite Sapphire presets, look no further than the All tab here. I'll head back to the New tab, scroll up, and in this particular case, I'll head back to the New tab and just choose this Engagement Shoot preset, which I'll also mark as a favorite so that I have access to it here under this tab for later use. By default, if I draw your attention to the bottom of the screen, we have this preview mode called All Triggers, which allows the lens flare when it reaches certain edges of the frame, as well as the middle of the screen in some cases. A trigger in terms of brightness or scale may happen with the lens flare, mimicking what you'll see if you start to animate this inside of After Effects or as it becomes closer to that edge. Another great part of the flare presets are what I like to call mini presets that you can find in the components section. These are Sapphire elements that still exist here at the top, but are combined in a stylistic way and ready for you to go and start to move. Let's go here, and I'm actually going to add this lovely lens dirt element, which actually has now textures that you can get access to from outside of the system. And I'll go and expand the elements view that I have over here at the side where that lens dirt is selected. And if we take a quick look here in the Properties tab, rather than have this actual lens dirt so strong, I'll simply come to the brightness value and bring that down to a value of 0.4. Now the best part about this is that all of these changes will then be applied and I'll be able to see this within After Effects. I should also mention that if you look here at the top, there have been a few elements that have been added for your use when dealing with lens flares, both multi-street and multi-spot elements to make or take your designs even further. By pressing OK, I'll head back into After Effects, where we can see that it has changed to that preset that we selected right inside of our lens flare designer, and we can see that it holds there in its position. Now don't forget to consider adding some more realization to your lens flare by playing around with the atmosphere and flicker values that are available directly within your effect and preset controls. I have yet another example just underneath this, so I'll just turn off that effect, where we can see I actually chose from a Sapphire lens flare preset, and I keyframe the hotspot in order to match the movement of the light, adding some flicker as well as atmosphere to give a bit of smokiness to this scene. And here is the end result. You can combine Sapphire lens flares in 3D scenes as well in After Effects. And to show you a little bit more of a complicated build, I've got several different layers in this project. So here's my original shot, and I wanted to get the lens flare coming from the light source over here. In order to do that, what I did was used After Effects' built-in 2D tracker to track a point there in the distance that was high in contrast. I then took an After Effects point light and essentially attached it to this area of the scene. Adding a Sapphire lens flare onto a solid layer, I made sure that the actual lens mode was set to 3D, and then it was referencing the follow movement light, which is parented to my tracking data. Combining this with Mocha AE or Mocha Pro, where you can simply draw out shapes to mask out a region of the lens flare, and then combining some After Effects built-in lights as well as S-Vignette, I was able to dramatically change the look of this scene. And that is how powerful it can be now to work with lens flares to create that real look or stylistic look that you want to for your project. Looking at some additional features inside of Sapphire's 2019 feature, we're going to head over into Premiere Pro. Inside of Premiere Pro, under your Effects tab, we're going to take a look at Whiplash. I've already done a search and we can find this under Sapphire Transitions. And if you've ever used Swishpan, this is his over-caffeinated brother. I'll select the transition and apply it to an edit point here in my timeline. First off, don't be scared to extend the length of this transition to be even longer. This actually takes multiple copies of your clip, blends them together, and allows it to travel further and faster, and works great sometimes in longer durations. With it selected, I'll head over here to my effect controls in Premiere Pro. And the first thing I'll do is load a preset in order to see some of the possibilities. We'll see here the default preset that's applied to your clips and how it's going to end. I'll just show you here a grow and spin, which actually has a little bit of a bounce back in terms of movement. Let me select that grow and spin, just mark this as a favorite to make it easier to find at a later point in time, and load that straight into Premiere Pro. We can see there that that actual preset has been applied, but rest assured that you can take this preset and tweak this even further. May I suggest that you play with both shifting Y and X, which is the number of copies you'll see, and its movement on the X and Y axis. I'll change this to be much more aggressive on X, specifically with a value of -5. Rather than using a whip out value of snap, I'll choose the ability to have this bounce back, or in those cases where I need it, I can always go to smooth. I'll simply really quickly in my timeline render out this transition and play back what we have so far in real time. So here we have Whiplash with multiple copies moving at once, followed by still that same rotation movement, and just a changed state in terms of the movement, in terms of a bounce back. But have some fun playing with that transition and being able to see how far you can take this whiplash and make it your own. Last on our tour is now your ability to work within Sapphire's transition builder and make animated shapes for your Premiere Pro and After Effects projects. To sort of see how this can be used, we can actually apply S-Transition to an edit point on a clip here in the timeline under the Sapphire Builder category. Inside of S-Transition, before heading over to load a preset, I'm going to change the background to Video 1 and then simply here load a preset into Premiere Pro. The transitions I have to be looking for happen to be new, so I'll head to the New tab. And one of my favorite of these shape-drawn animations made available from the new Shape Animator effect or Animating Shape effect happens to be the hand-drawn sun. I've already made it as a favorite to make it easier to find later on, and as I press the play button we can see the preview of this animation, and then with that done we can easily load this in to Premiere Pro. If you go here to edit the effect, this will give you some idea of how this was built and how you can combine multiple animated shapes to create a really cool end result. So here's an example of the power of combining both effects and transitions to give you this animated shape look. Now, if you're looking just to start off and see what you can do on your own with these animated shapes, let me cancel out of here in terms of the Sapphire Effect Builder. And on the second clip here in your timeline, I'll add S-Transition to those clips. With S-Transition selected, I'll go over here to the side and set my background to Video 1 and then choose to edit the effect. First thing that I want to do is I will just actually create a little bit of a glow effect in this case. So I'll go to the Dissolve Glow, a little bit too bright for the overall look. So I'll bring down the glow value to 4. Now we're going to combine this in particular with an animated shape under the Tools category. Apply it so it's just underneath the Dissolve Glow. Notice that I'm currently previewing my selected node, which happens to be the shape. And what we see in particular happens to be that square shape. What we can do first of all is change the default shape to an ellipse if we so need. And I'm going to actually just change the relative width of this shape to make it much larger and add a little bit of blur. Now what I'd like to do is essentially have this shape animate over time and reveal the next image underneath it. Let's stylize it a bit first by changing its color to a pattern that we may want to use throughout our actual project. And in order to get animation, what I'll do first of all is set the end position of my shape. I want that size to be quite large, as well as it to rotate a number of times throughout the scene. So this is going to act now as an animated wipe in the scene where it will reveal the next image or incoming clip. In order to accomplish this, I'll come to my size area and choose from an animation curve preset, this one right here. And we can see right away that we have instant animation of that shape growing and then revealing the image behind it. In order to maybe perfect the timing, I'll play with the middle time so this animation reaches its middle point a little bit quicker before revealing the image underneath it. Simply take this now and combine it with maybe another property and its curve, such as rotate. And under the rotate value, I'll choose this as the curve preset, again changing the middle time. We can see the end result we have here of that rotated animated shape. Don't be afraid to play with values from the Distort and Stylize category to really create some unique looks for the animated shape, as well as using Sapphire's composition effects available to you to set the alpha channels, as well as play around with how this is all blended and composited together. So there you have it, some new features from Sapphire 2019. We've taken a look at S-Pixel Sort, the new and lens flare designer with your built-in presets and mini presets of elements that are combined, not to mention the amazing new look and ease of use of the built-in Sapphire Mocha, having access to S-Whiplash with our Swish Pan's over-caffeinated brother, as well as your ability to use animated shapes and even create hand-drawn or simple animated shapes directly in Sapphire's Transition Builder. I'm Nick Haraz here with Boris Effects. To find out more information of Sapphire, don't forget to visit boriseffects.com and check out the several tutorials as well as webinar on these new features and providing you information on each of these effects in detail. Have a great day.